Hi, everybody. This is a new thing that we're doing here at Neighbors for Neighbors, kind of a little behind the scenes with our partners. And I'm so excited to have Stephen Abrams here, Executive Director from Tri-Rail, to talk about rail safety. Rail Safety Week is September 20th through the 26th, but obviously we want to be rail safe all the time. So, Stephen, tell us about, give us some of the things that people maybe don't understand about trains.
Well, I think
and Tri-Rail in particular.
That our trains are fast and they cannot stop on a dime. It's not like a car where a car can swerve at the last minute sometimes. So you have to be extra cautious when you're dealing with trains along the South Florida Rail Corridor and the other rail corridors here in South Florida.
And, you say that they can't stop, but also there's a misconception too, right? Because it seems like the train might be far away, but it could be closer than it seems. Talk about that.
Right. A lot of people think they can sort of sneak on by, and people have paid a price, unfortunately, for doing that, or walk along the rail corridor as if it's some sort of a sidewalk. And sadly, we've just seen too many times where, because people just don't have a good judgment about that they shouldn't be there in the first place, but about the speed of trains, that they think that the train is far off and they can cross the tracks when in fact they can't.
Yeah. And then also, whether you're on foot or in a car, super important never to stop on the tracks, especially if you're in traffic, leave that space, even if the lights aren't flashing, don't use that as a gauge, right?
Correct. And that's really an unfortunate common error that drivers make. They want to get where they're going. They don't want to get stuck behind a gate crossing. So they try to sneak up on the tracks, and then the car in front of them is right there. So there's not enough clearance. And, if you're concerned about shaving off a couple minutes on your trip, well, you don't want to shave off the rest of your life. And that's exactly what the consequence can be. These gates come down. If there's nowhere to go, you're in deep trouble.
Right.
So drivers have to be extra cautious. Also, you mentioned pedestrians. And we have people who cross our gates, especially, this is sad because I'm a regular rider of Tri-Rail, and I'll see people getting off the train, then the train that they just got off goes on its way, and they think, okay, I'm good to go. They go under the gate before the gate is opened up to get to the other side. They don't realize another train is coming in the opposite direction.
Right.
And that's just, a horrible situation.
Yeah, no, and we don't want to lose anybody because of that. And I think that, it's never, it's never not important to tell people about rail safety. Tri-Rail is such a great asset in our community, such a great, transportation option for people. And but we don't want it to ever be, something that's bad. Unfortunately accidents happen, and with the best preparation and all that kind of stuff, we know that, but we know that, it's so simple, just don't be on the tracks. The only thing that should be on the tracks is the train. And the only time you should be on the tracks is when you're in the train, so, and then that's the best part, is that Tri-Rail is such a great transportation option. Talk about that as far as getting where you need to go. Talk about where you guys travel. I think a lot of people don't know how wonderful it is.
Well, if we operate on the South Florida Rail Corridor, which is the western tracks. I think people in South Florida are familiar with the two parallel tracks, the one on the east, the one on the west. We're on the west, although we're working hard to connect to the corridor on the east, but that's a little down the road. But for now, 73 miles from Miami International Airport all the way up past West Palm Beach to Mangonia Park. And we stop about every 2 or 3 miles, so a lot of convenient stops. We operate all throughout the day and on weekends and on holidays. So it's a very convenient way to sort of go where you need to go, compared to our parallel highway there, as we all know, I-95, where when you take the train, someone else is doing the driving for you. And so you sit there with your smartphone or your book or whatever you want to do, and have a very stress-free way to travel along that corridor. We also have connections, the ability to connect from the stations using Uber or taxis at most of our stations, so you can actually get to that last, travel the last mile to your ultimate destination.
So what a time saver, what it's a green way to travel. I love it. I mean, especially now where people are trying to, unfortunately use their phones while they're driving. Now you can actually have an option where you can use it and feel good about it and be safe too, because,
Right. And that's, by the way, going back to rail safety, where we have a lot of accidents, or people who are in their cars or on foot, glued to their phones and not paying attention.
Yeah.
So this is as you said, a great way where you can guilt-free use your phone while you're getting where you're going.
Exactly. And you guys have Wi-Fi on there too. So
We have Wi-Fi, which we are in the process of upgrading. So we want to make it even more convenient and quicker and more
that's
accessible.
fantastic, especially for the business commuter who's, or for anybody really who is not
you'd
connected.
be surprised. As I said, I've ridden it almost every day for 10 years. And you have some pretty interesting personal conversations that you can overhear, as well as business calls. So everybody takes advantage of it.
Exactly. Now, also talk about, so when we're talking about being safe, I mean, something that obviously is sadly still looming is COVID. So talk about what Tri-Rail's doing to keep the passengers safe as they travel.
Well, we've implemented precautions on our trains ever since the beginning of COVID, and we're still following through on those precautions. So sanitizing the trains very frequently. The federal government still requires masks on the trains, and so obviously we are enforcing that. Also, we're running about 92% service on our trains. We're still at about 58% ridership as people continue to work from home. But that means that there's ample room on board the trains to spread out. And so, that's another, we're able to have some social distancing on the trains. So we have not, knock on wood, had any outbreaks that have been traced back to our trains. And it's been a safe way for people to travel during this pandemic.
Oh, what a fantastic and, not only safe, but comfortable way to travel. And we are so excited to partner with Tri-Rail. One of the things too is Tri-Rail loves to give back, and they're being part of our Adopt a Family for the Holidays program, which we're so excited to have them back. This is a great way to help the community. And so you're not just, I would say, I wouldn't say walk the walk, because it would be ride the rails maybe.
Yeah.
But we're so grateful too. But is there anything else that that people should know, that maybe they, these misconceptions about the train and that kind of thing, that you want to dispel those myths to the community?
Well, and thank you. We truly enjoy our relationship with Neighbors for Neighbors, and especially around holiday time, like you said. There's another sad aspect to safety on the rails, and we also pursue that, which is that sadly some people are purposely going onto the tracks to end their lives. And so it's a comprehensive approach. So not only do we have all of the striping and the bells and the signs and everything else to remind people to stay off the tracks, but we also work with social service agencies, suicide prevention agencies, 211 helpline, to try to address a bigger problem that unfortunately also sees its way onto our tracks in a sad way. So trying to tackle it from all different angles, and we hope that, you know, as we are able to increase awareness with programs like this, that we will see a reduction in trespassing on the tracks, and certainly a reduction in injuries or deaths on our tracks.
Yeah, and we shared that mutual, affinity for helping those who, feel like they want to do that. Neighbors for Neighbors has a mental wellness campaign where we're trying to break the stigma of getting help. And so, of course, our partners at 211 are always a great resource. They're available 24/7, 365. If you ever feel like you are alone, you are never alone, and there's always someone to talk to. And it's so important because no matter what your friends say or what the community says, we want you to know that it's okay not to feel okay, but it's not okay to suffer in silence. There is someone, and so even in your darkest moment, know that there's someone to turn to. And we're, Neighbors for Neighbors, Tri-Rail, and so many other partners are there for you. And Stephen, I am so grateful to talk with you today and share just a little bit about Tri-Rail. And we're going to do more. Of course, you'll see more on Neighbors for Neighbors website and on our social media and throughout the coming months. But let's stay safe always, and especially on the rail this September. And thank you again so much for coming and talk with us. I'm excited. I can't wait to ride the rails soon with you.
Well, I hope to see you on there, Katie, and we appreciate the opportunity and all the assistance that your organization has given us.
Great, thank you so much. Well, we'll be hearing more soon, I'm sure.